Welcome
to Casual Marketing.
Hello and welcome to Casual Marketing. I'll be your host, Just James, and today I want to talk about where to start if you're about to dive into paid ads or if you're just doing some initial research. I think the best way to really start off this video and answer your question is for me to actually ask you a couple additional questions to just get things rolling. So if I asked you to name a few social media platforms that you enjoy using, what would you say? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, all of the above? Now what if I told you each one of these platforms had an entire advertising platform built on top of them? In fact, a majority of these platforms we use today are only able to exist through the profits made through advertising. You might be asking yourself, where do I even start? Unfortunately, I can't give you a perfect answer, but I can give you a couple more questions to ask yourself. This question is really where digital marketing begins, and that's the customer journey. The deeper you explore this question, the more successful you will be in the long run. Who is your customer, and where do they spend the majority of their time on the internet? That is really the first question you need answered, and exhaust every resource you have to figure it out. In most cases, you can just proceed with the platform that has the majority of your customers' attention, but there are some caveats to keep in mind. Every paid media platform has strengths and weaknesses, but at the end of the day, their targeting is landlocked. The borders between them are vast and ever evolving. The first platform you adventure into will ultimately be your foundation, but keep in mind not all platforms are created equal. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, there's quite a few examples, but I think the best one is what a lot of brands are facing right now, and that's the Gen Z audience and how connected they are with TikTok. It's become a very important platform, but it's not without its controversy, and that's really the thing to keep in mind. These platforms may offer a lot of different features. They may give you a lot of great tools. They may even provide you with a rep that you can directly talk to. But you have to really pay attention to who your audience is and what do you want to accomplish with this platform. If your goal is to generate a brand on social media that can exist for years to come, you definitely want TikTok, but I don't know if you want it to be your foundation simply because the app is constantly getting blocked. There have been recent news that colleges are blocking it from the Wi-Fi. All of these advertising platforms have been under scrutiny at one point or another, but TikTok, being a Chinese-owned company, has made the issue more political than most. Countries like India have completely banned the app, and others will most likely follow. Being a digital marketer forces you to live in the moment and the future at the same time. Brands that are trying to get off the ground cannot ignore TikTok, but may want to avoid straight dollar investments. Build your foundation organically or leverage influencers that have already laid the groundwork for you. Influencer marketing by itself has grown a lot, and I'll try and cover it as we dive deeper into other topics in the future. But that's really the best way if you have a brand that you're less concerned about building a foundation and your ultimate goal is to sell the product and quickly, or maybe you have a new product and you want to get it out there quickly. That's where influencers can come into play. You don't have to worry so much about the politics going on with these platforms. You can simply find influencers that really fit your brand identity and just work directly with them. You can either send them the product or have them talk about the product, and that's usually a better way to get into a platform if you haven't really built anything, you're not posting, or don't want to deal with a lot of the politics that are happening on some of these services. Like I said, all of them will at some point run into some issue, so understand that it's not the end of the world. Save your money and focus on platforms that can capture a good amount of your audience. Examples would be Google Ads, or even the Meta Business Suite that we've gone over in previous videos. Both platforms cover a variety of touch points across a few different platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even WhatsApp. If you want to narrow your starting point further, just think about your objective. Are you a brand trying to make a name for yourself, or are you simply trying to sell a product? The Google Ads platform has tools like search, which will provide a more direct path to your customer. The Meta Business Suite has many tools to get your content directly in front of your consumer. Both great tools, but serve a specific purpose. So be honest with yourself and choose based on facts determined by the customer journey, not your personal preference. One additional thing that I want to say about platforms as you're doing your research is you'll usually see lots of different offers, whether that's on a cheaper CPM or conversion rates, and understand that they're incredibly relative. If you're advertising on a platform like Hulu, you'll see a lot higher CPMs because that's typically what happens in the TV world, and people sitting on a couch watching a screen and sitting there for a long time versus someone quickly scrolling on social media. You'll see dramatic change in average cost, which is why they're not really good to compare. You just have to make sure that you're paying for the right thing, which just all boils down to the customer journey. If that's where your customer is the majority of the time, then that's probably where you want to be, regardless of what that cost per thousand is. I believe a lot of marketers are trying to find that one solution that just solves all of their problems. And that's really the mistake that you don't want to make when you're looking at these different platforms. A lot of them will have flashy tools, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because how does your consumer interact with these platforms on a daily basis? You have to really understand that first. And you also have to keep in mind what your product is. If your product is a necessity, you may want to really focus on things like search because people are actively looking for it because they need it. If your product is a luxury item that they may buy once or maybe buy once a year, that's where you might need to inject sort of naturally into their daily lives. That's where brand building can be really important. And if you have something that is consumable that they need to purchase often, that's when you can be a little bit more aggressive on the platforms you use and have a mixture of search and even have social. Because at the end of the day, if they have to buy the product regularly, you just want to make sure that you have that mind share and that you're in front of them as often as possible. So those are just 3 quick examples of how marketing dramatically changes based on who your consumer is and what their journey is on that daily basis. Keeping all of that in mind can be really stressful, and at the end of the day, this is casual marketing, and my goal is to not make anyone's job harder or to make them have anxiety on are they making the best decision. And that's why at the end of the day, these are just some easy things that you can think about. These questions are not designed to act as a roadblock. At the end of the day, you will have to move forward, you'll have to make a decision. So you don't have to stress about these questions. They're just meant to be simple mind experiments.
Do a single mind-blowing experience
to really understand who your customer is. So don't stress it too much and just try and, make the best of the information that you have. And the good news about a lot of these platforms is they're relatively easy to get started. So if you find that you're not getting the traction that you need, that's okay. You can just move on to another platform. Just remember, it's casual marketing. You don't need to stress it.
relax.